So, hi everyone, welcome to another meeting. Um, if you are watching on the YouTube channel or if you are listening to the podcast, you can find out more about our meetings, what we're doing here, the online community. You can listen to the podcast or you can find out about paid private mentoring with myself if it interests you. The website is www.acimwithkeith.com. So, on with our meeting. So let's, as ever, go to the book. So let's begin with this. This is from chapter 15. It is from section 2 and paragraph 5. The holy instant has not yet happened to you, yet it will. And you will recognize it with perfect certainty. No gift of God is recognized in any other way. You can practice the mechanics of the holy instant and will learn much from doing so. Yet its shining and glittering brilliance, which will literally blind you to this world by its own vision, you cannot supply. And here it is, all in this instant, complete, accomplished, and given wholly. This is a very important passage for many reasons. Today we're going to talk about the holy instant. And what we're going to do is we're first of all going to talk about what the holy instant is, and then we're going to rewind and talk about what you do to facilitate the holy instant. Um, so, the holy instant has not yet happened to you, yet it will. And you will recognize it with perfect certainty. No gift of God is recognized in any other way. When you experience the holy instant, if Jesus, Krishna, and Buddha arrived in front of you and said, "No, that's not real. That's not it," you wouldn't believe them. They wouldn't be able to convince you of the unreality of what was just known. So there will be no question when there is the experience of the holy instant. But this passage is acknowledging that you don't pick up A Course in Miracles, you don't do a few L workbook lessons, and there's going to be a holy instant. It's not going to happen like that. Okay. But when it does, it is recognized with perfect certainty. Perfect certainty. It is the end of doubt. So you can practice the mechanics of the holy instant. Now, the mechanics of the holy instant, there are two ways to talk about this. The first mechanic of the holy instant is the workbook lessons. You are practicing the mechanics of the holy instant there. The second we can talk about is your forgiveness practice. And the holy instant can come with the practicing of one of those sets of mechanics, the workbook, or with your forgiveness practice, or with both. So you can practice the mechanics of the holy instant and will learn much from doing so. Yet its shining and glittering brilliance, which will literally blind you to this world by its own vision, you cannot supply. And here it is, all in this instant, complete, accomplished, and wholly given. So this is it. This is the real world. This is the atonement, complete, accomplished, and wholly given. It's already here. It's already here. It's awaiting recognition, but it's not in the future. It's now. Because there's no future. There's only now. It's already here. And here it is, all in this instant, complete, accomplished, and given wholly. This is already unconditional love. That's all that's here. And that's recognized in the holy instant. Okay, let's move to another quotation. I think it's one of the most beautiful in the entire course. This is lesson 131, and it's talking about the real world or the holy instant, same thing. The means of having the holy instant, knowing the real world, and what it means. So here goes. For several minutes, watch your mind and see, although your eyes are closed, the senseless world you think is real. Review the thoughts as well which are compatible with such a world and which you think are true. Then let them go and sink below them to the holy place where they can enter not. The holy place where thoughts cannot enter. There is a door beneath them, thoughts, in your mind, which you could not completely lock to hide what lies beyond all thoughts. Seek for that door and find it. But before you try to open it, remind yourself no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. And it is this request you make today. Nothing but this has any meaning now. No other goal is valued nor sought. Nothing before this door you really want. This door that leads to the holy place where there's no thought. And only what lies past it do you seek. I want to read that again. Nothing but this, passing through the door from thoughts to the place where there's no thoughts, where there cannot be thought. That thoughts could never completely close. Nothing but this has any meaning now. No other goal is valued now or sought. Nothing before this door you really want, and only what lies past it do you seek. Now, the problem with a lot of students of A Course in Miracles is that they haven't gone through this door. This, the only thing that's valuable now. Knowing what is outside of thoughts. Only thing that's valuable. But without passing through this door, course students want to be miracle workers. They want to be holy egos. They want to be out there fixing the world, being holy, doing holy things. Okay, and that's the trap. Course in Miracles is never going to make sense for you. It's a big bunch of concepts. Course in Miracles will never make sense to you until you seek for this door and find it. and that you understand that nothing but this has any meaning. No other goal is valued now nor sought. Nothing before this door you really want, and nothing, only what lies past it do you seek. Put out your hand, metaphor, and see how easily the door swings open with your one intent to go beyond it. All thoughts. Angels light the way, metaphor. So that all darkness vanishes and you are standing in a light so bright and clear that you can understand, excuse me, all things you see. Tiny moment of surprise, perhaps, will make you pause before you realize the world you see before you in the light reflects the truth you knew and did not quite forget in wandering away in dreams. What are dreams? Thoughts. So we pass from thoughts into the thoughtless space, the place where thought has no power, where thought can enter not. And we see a world before us in the light that reflects the truth you knew and did not quite forget in wandering away in thoughts. So, what happens when you pass through the door from thoughts into the thoughtless place, the holy place where thoughts can enter not, is that there is the unknowable with thoughts. We can call it emptiness, but not because there's no thoughts here. The emptiness is that it is unknowable with thoughts. Um, and we could call it stillness, but it's the stillness. What is the stillness where there's no word? Stillness. And when thoughts stop or are completely no longer identified with or believed, identity is gone. It's gone. And only the holy place where thoughts can enter not, as you look out on the world, that's what extends as the reality of everything and everyone. One self everywhere as everything and everyone. There is no self and other. They're thoughts. There is no here and there. That's thoughts. There is one self everywhere as everything and everyone, and nothing apart from that self. In the holy place where thoughts can enter not, there is no tiny mad idea of separateness, of two. In A Course in Miracles, it says everyone makes a self, an ego or a self for himself, which is subject to enormous variation because it's not made by or with the unalterable. An imaginary separate self, a me, with a past and a future made of thoughts. And then he makes a self for everyone else that he perceives. So the minute you get involved in thoughts and imagine yourself to be the thinker of this, the ego's thoughts, you think you're a me. You've split your mind. Now you consider yourself a self that you've made up out of thoughts, and you make up others. Once you pass into the holy place where thoughts can enter not, you realize the self you made for yourself doesn't exist. The minute thoughts stop, it's gone. And the selves you made for everyone else with thoughts, that's gone. And everywhere you look is the holy place where thoughts can enter not. One self everywhere. And you're not separate from that or other than that. And the experience is being everywhere at once. So this is what the holy instant is. And when it's permanent, it's the real world. So let's look at how this is said in different ways. This is from Helen's poem, My Father's House. Hallowed my name. I am a son of God who walks in stillness, the holy place where thoughts can enter not. This is a metaphor coming up. I hold out my hand, and from my fingertips, the quiet goes around the world to still all living things and cover them in holiness. Their rest is joined in mine, for I am one with them, oneself. There is no pain my stillness cannot heal because it comes from God. There is no grief that does not turn to laughter when I come. I do not come alone. There walks with me the light that heaven looks on as itself. I am a son of God. My name is His. My Father's house is where my stillness is, the holy place where thoughts can enter not. So this is from Awakened Stillness poem by Helen Schuckman. Peace cover you, within, without the same. In shining silence and in peace so deep, no dream of sin and evil can come near your quiet mind, the holy place where thoughts can enter not. And then in stillness wake. First there is silence, then awakening. Now is the time appointed for the end of dreaming. Still the cradle where you come to be reborn. The Christ is stirring now in the home that he has chosen as his own. His vision rests upon your eyes, and soon you will behold his face and will forget the fantasies that seemed to be so real until the stillness came. So the stillness comes. And whereas prior to this, you were making a self for yourself out of thoughts and believing in a me made of thoughts, with past and future made of thoughts, and lots of stories about what you are made of thoughts, and putting a circle around this big bunch of thoughts and going, that's me. My concept of a self. That's who I am. And now what you're doing is you're looking out there and there's nothing but the holy place where thoughts can enter not. Well, you're projecting thoughts about other selves onto the holiness that's appearing as dream figures. Course in Miracles says these are shadow figures from the past. All there is here is one holy place where thoughts can enter not, appearing as everything and everyone. appearing as dream figures and mountains and rivers and oceans and countries and animals and insects and flowers. One holiness, one holy place where thoughts can enter not, which is what you are, is appearing as all of it. But when you self, when you jump into thoughts and concepts and dress yourself in them about your victimized past and your scary future, and you believe in a me, a big bunch of thoughts that has nothing to do with you, and you draw a circle around it and go, that's me. I am this self. Behold, behold the separate self. And now you look out at the holy place where thoughts can enter not, and you project thoughts about the kind of people that are out there, what their past is, what their future is, what kind of personalities they have, why they're good, why they're bad, why they're holy, why they're unholy. It's only one self out there. It's only one holy place where thoughts can enter not out there. But when you self, everyone makes an ego or a self for himself, which is subject to enormous variation. Okay, when you self, you get involved in concepts. You identify with them. You call them your concepts. They're your thoughts. You are the thinker of this thought system of separateness. Once you self, once you leave the holy place where thoughts can enter not in your mind, apparently, you can't. You are that. But once it seems like there's a leaving, a veiling of the holy place from itself, and a diving into concepts and identification with them and thoughts, once you've selfed, you must make up selves for what everyone is. So at the moment, we have 137, 138 live participants with us. And what that means is 138 live participants means there are 139 Keiths here. All that's here is the holy place where thoughts can enter not. That's all that's here. But if you have selfed, if you're identifying as me, the separate self, then all 138 of you must make up a self for me, like a separate self. That's 138. The 139 is that I still self. So the 139th Keith is the one I make up. None of these selves are true. They have no resemblance to each other whatsoever. Everyone looking at this has a different self made up for what I am, which bears no resemblance to the self I still occasionally indulge in believing in, that I've made up for myself. They're all different. None of them are real. Not the self you're making up for me, and not the self I've made up for myself. They're just thoughts. They mean nothing. They are veiling the holy place where thoughts can enter not. The self you've made up for yourself that you call me doesn't exist. You are the holy place where thoughts can enter not. That's everywhere. And the holy place everywhere is what you are. But when you self, when you dive into concepts, when you think you're thinking, when you think the activity of the mind is you, you self, you think you are this self apart from the holiness that's all that's here. You split your mind. No longer are you the self that's everywhere and the self everywhere that's here. You've split your mind into self and other. You've made a self up for yourself. And once you do that, once you attack the Christ in you to identify as an ego, a separate self made of thoughts, you must attack the Christ everywhere to see it as other selves that you're making up for Christ. None of these selves are true. None of them exist. Because all that's here is the real world. And the real world is one capital S self as everything and everyone, and everything and everyone as one self, and nothing apart from that. No self or other in sight anywhere. That's the split mind. In the holy instant, you step outside the dream of self and other. Or there's no self and other. And you do that by witnessing what the mind is doing with no judgment. You witness thought activity that you thought was you. It's not you. You're not thinking. The mind, what we call the mind, which is that insane voice commenting on everything and having chats with itself, talking to itself. Those going to write an essay later on what's happening, commenting, 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 commenting. You think that's you. It's not. It's not you. There's no identity in the body, and there's no identity in that insane mind that you think is you. None. And forgiveness is a means of finding the door to the holy place where thoughts can enter not. And so forgiveness is looking at the ego, which is that insane voice talking to itself, having chats with itself, commenting on everything, judging itself and everyone else. You witness those thought patterns with no thoughts about them. And you're home. You can witness thoughts with no thoughts about them. Only the holy place. That you are. But it's not just what you are. As soon as you come home to the holy place, that's the end of projection. You can't project self and other anymore. They were thoughts. Thoughts about who you are, made up, non-existent self made of thoughts. So first of all, you made a self for yourself. Then you projected. Having made a self, you project other. More selves made of thoughts. Self and other. In the holy place where thoughts can enter not, there can't be a self and other. That requires thoughts. And so there's only what you are as everything and everyone as what you are. Oneself. So forgiveness is the way we learn to find a non-ego presence in our mind. Somewhere untouched by the ego thought system of self and other. Now, please don't hear this and think, oh, I need to become that. I can never do that. Those are thoughts. They have nothing to do with you. That's the mind. The mind is insane. And it's not you. It doesn't matter what the mind is saying. You're not saying that. Those are thoughts, concepts, which are veiling the holy place where thoughts can enter not from itself, apparently. So the holy instant, Course in Miracles says salvation can be seen as nothing more than the escape from concepts. So what you are, you don't get to have a concept on that. Because what you are cannot be limited by a concept, cannot be understood with thoughts. Thought is the trickster. Thought is the architect of the tiny mad idea. And it has nothing to do with you. What you are cannot be touched by the ego thought system. What's the ego thought system? That there's two. There's God and me. There's duality. That was the tiny mad idea. The first line of the equation, that's wrong. And so the next line of the equation, sin, guilt, and fear, past, present, and future, that's wrong. Because there is no duality. There is no me and God. There's no two. Only not two. So sin, guilt, and fear is wrong. Because the first line was wrong. That there's duality. That there's self and other. And from sin, guilt, and fear comes the entire thought system of the mind that pretends to be you. The one chatting with itself. The one listening to this going, ooh, what do I think about that? Do I think that's good? Do I think that's bad? Do I think that's right? Do I think that's wrong? Do I hate that? Do I love that? That's not you. Those are thoughts. Salvation can be seen as nothing more than the escape from concepts. Which doesn't mean you have to go to war with concepts and make them stop. Salvation is freedom from identification with concepts. They can tell you nothing about what you are and nothing about what your brother is. They're all wrong. You have to be. They've been spawned from the lie that there's two, that there's self and other. There's not. Once thoughts stop, once you have the experience of the holy place where thoughts can enter not, there is no self and other. There is no duality. There's one self as everything and everyone, and everyone as that one self. There is the holy place where thoughts can enter not everywhere as everything and everyone, and everything and everyone everywhere as the holy place where thoughts can enter not. That's the only identity that's here. And that's the holy instant. Freedom from identification with concepts. They have nothing to do with you. They can't tell you anything about what you are. None of them are right. They're all wrong. They're based on duality. They're based on you being a me made of thoughts with a past and a future that'll get sick and die, that suffers, that hates itself, that hates everyone else. It doesn't exist. They're thoughts. There's no one there. There's no identity in that. Lesson 93. The self you made out of thoughts is not the Son of God. And nothing it seems to think or do means anything. It is neither good nor bad. It's unreal. Nothing more than that. Those are a big bunch of thoughts. Just because there's a circle around them with a me, that doesn't mean there's a me. There's not. Thoughts have nothing to do with what you are. You're the holy place where thoughts can enter not. And as soon as you realize that in the holy instant, you look out, and this holy place is the truth of what everything and everyone is with you. There's just this one self as everything and everyone. And everything and everyone is this one self. That's what the miracle establishes. That's the holy instant that's established by the miracle. And again, when this is anchored. When the me is gone forever, it's the real world. So if you're serious about your course practice, we want this holy instant. But guess what? The me can't have it because the holy instant is the collapse of the me. And so the holy instant established by the miracle means that for this moment, the me is gone. And there is only one self as the truth of everything and everyone. That's your holy relationship right there. That's the extension of the Holy Spirit. That's the temple of the Holy Spirit. One self as everything and everyone. No self and other. Course in Miracles says, remember that your identity is shared, and its sharing is its reality. So if you have a spiritual experience and you think, oh, I'm so holy now, this is fabulous, and none of the other plebs are as good as I am, they all have to catch up with me, that's delusion. You're selfing. You're still making up a self for yourself, a me, and making up a self for everyone else, a you. And of course, yourself is the holy one, and everyone else is the guiltier one. In the holy instant, there's no me. There's the self that is everything and everyone. And that self is the holy place where thoughts can enter not. The only thing that was ever veiling it is that you were taking thoughts seriously and identifying with them as though you were thinking them, as though the voice having chats with itself is you. It's not. It's not who you are. Those are just thoughts you're identifying with. You need to use the miracle to disidentify from all thoughts, to discover what's through the door. What is in the place that thoughts can enter not? That's what you are. But it's not just what you are. That's what everyone and everything is. No self and other. Those are thoughts. Concept. You're selfing. Everyone makes an ego or a self for himself, which is subject to enormous variation because it's not made by or with the unalterable. It's made with thoughts. It's like, oh, big bunch of thoughts here. That's me. No, it's not. Your salvation is your escape from concepts. No concept can tell you what you are. If it does, it's wrong. Because what you are cannot be described as a concept. Whatever thoughts are telling you about who you are, they're all wrong. What you are cannot be known as a concept. Whatever your thoughts are telling you about what I am, I can only imagine after this talk. Whatever thoughts are telling you about what I am, they're wrong because thoughts can't tell you what I am. You can only be what I am. You can only know me by being me. Everything else is a lie made of thought. It's a private world where I'm a shadow figure in your private world, where you've made up a me out of thoughts, which is not what you are. And then you've made up selves for everyone else. Concepts, thoughts, shadow figures that have no existence whatsoever. And in the holy instant, the me made of thoughts is gone. And all the other shadow selves that you've made out of thoughts, they're all gone as well. They were never there. There is only the holy place where thoughts can enter not, as everything and everyone. All the separate self people in your life, where do they live? Where are all those people? Their thoughts. Their thoughts. The good ones and the bad ones, the holy ones and the unholy ones. Their thoughts. Young ones and old ones and living ones and dead ones. Where are all those shadow selves? Their thoughts. They're in the mind. What happens if the mind falls silent? Every single brother you look on is the same without your thoughts projected saying what they are. There's no thoughts. The one self is everywhere and everything and everyone. And it's what you are. So, what should be clear is what the problem is: identification with the ego thought system. So, the voice in your head having chats with itself and talking to itself and telling itself what it's going to do, what it thinks of everyone, and who it is with thoughts. I am this set of thoughts, and who everyone else is made of thoughts. It's not you. It's not you. Whatever thoughts are saying about what you're hearing now, that's not you. Doesn't mean anything. It's just not you. You already are the real world. You're not in the real world. You won't discover the real world. You're not a person who will attain the real world. Those are thoughts. You are the real world, which is oneself as everything and everyone. One holy place that thoughts can enter not, as everything and everyone now. You are that. But you're identified with thoughts. And you think you know what you are with thoughts. And you think you know what everyone else is with thoughts. And none of it's true. That's your private world. And yours is different than everyone else. And none of the worlds are real. All that's here is the perfect holiness of the holy place where thoughts can enter not, everywhere, as everything and everyone. It's all that's here. Everything else is a dream made of thoughts. You dream up a me with thoughts, and then you dream up yous with thoughts. But there's no self and other. There's one self as everything and everyone. That's the holy instant. That's the real world, but it's permanent. Okay, lesson 69. After you have thought about the importance of what you are trying to do for yourself and the world, because it's not two, try to settle down in perfect stillness, remembering only how much you want to reach the light in you today. What's the light? The holy place that thought cannot touch, that thought can say nothing about, where thought has no power. Remembering only how much you want to reach the light in you today. Now, determined to go past the clouds. What are the clouds? Thoughts. Now, metaphor. Reach out and touch them in your mind. They're just thoughts. They're not true. They don't tell you anything about what you are, because they can't. So whatever they're telling you is a lie. Whatever they're telling you that everyone else is, that's a lie. Reach out and touch them in your mind. Brush them aside with your hand. They're just thoughts. No fighting them, no going to war with them, no trying to fix them, no trying to change them. They're just thoughts. Brush them aside with your hand. Feel them resting on your cheeks and forehead and eyelids as you go through them. Go on. Clouds. Thoughts. Cannot stop you. Next lesson, lesson 70. Now we will try again to reach the light in you. Through the door to the place where there's no thoughts. Now we will try again to reach the light in you, which is where your salvation is. You cannot find it in the clouds that surround the light. And it is in them that you have been looking for it. It is not there. You thought you could have an intellectual understanding of A Course in Miracles, that your thoughts would make a powerful contribution to the truth and make it what it is. You think all your concepts of what's right and wrong and spiritual and unspiritual, you think that's going to get you into the light. But you have to let all that go. Just let it all go. They're just thoughts. Thoughts can tell you nothing about the truth. They are veiling the truth. Because the truth is outside of thoughts. You are the truth. You just think you're a lie because you're believing thoughts and identifying with them. Now we'll seek for your salvation. This is your saving. This is your answer to lasting peace and happiness, which you've searched for all your life. You cannot find it in the thoughts that surround the light of what you are. And it's in them you've been looking for it. You've been asking your thoughts, I wonder what that means. Tell me what that means. And they're all wrong. You have to let them all go. And that's peace. And that's salvation. No thoughts. It's not in them. Not in your thoughts. And that's where you've been looking for it. It's not there. It's past the thoughts and in the light beyond. Remember that you will have to go through the clouds before you can reach the light. Remember also that you've never found anything in the cloud patterns you imagined that endured or that you wanted. Have you ever loved the self you've made yourself out of thoughts? No, you despise it. You spend your whole life trying to fix it, trying to medicate it, trying to get people to like it so you don't hate it as much. Trying to fill it with knowledge, information, thoughts, so it feels smarter. It's all nonsense. You've never found anything in the cloud patterns you imagined that endured. Not the self that you've made for yourself out of clouds. Not the selves that you've made for everyone else out of clouds. Since all those illusions of salvation have failed you, surely you do not want to remain in the clouds. The thoughts. looking vainly for idols here, when you could so easily walk on into the light of real salvation. Try to pass the clouds, thoughts, by whatever means appeals to you. Lesson 49. Part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you're aware of it or not. It is the other part of your mind that functions in the world and obeys the world's laws. It is this part that's constantly distracted, disorganized, and highly uncertain. The part that is listening to the voice for God is calm, always at rest, and wholly certain. The holy place where thoughts can enter not. It is really the only part there is. The other part is a wild illusion, frantic and distraught, but without reality of any kind. It's just a bunch of thoughts, and the thought that someone's thinking them, and it's not you. Try not to listen to it today. Try to identify with the part of your mind where stillness and peace reign forever. Lesson 8. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I want you to note this well. Thought and the past are the same thing. If thought stopped in your mind right now, could the past exist? The past is thought, and all thought is past. Thought and past are exactly the same thing. Ask yourself this question. Is there any single thing you can tell me about what you are that is not the past? And you tell me one thing about who you are that isn't the past. There's just one. Only the only thing you can say to me about who you are that has not got something to do with the past is I am. Past is thought, and all thought is the past. And A Course in Miracles says the now is the only time that's real. Because thought, the trickster, manufactures a past that's not there. Lesson 8. The one holy true thought we can hold about the past is it's not here. It's not here. Past isn't here. There's just what's apparently happening. There's just one holy place that thoughts can enter not, appearing as everything and everyone, and that's love. It's the holy instant. It's the real world. It's all that's here. It's all that's here. But there's thoughts. There's thoughts which are past that looks on the holiness that's appearing as everything and everyone. And the values from the past say, That's good, that's bad, that shouldn't be happening, that should be happening. That's one self, that's a different self, that's a good self, that's a bad self, that's a me, that's a you, it's a self, that's another. That's not here. That's not here. It's not here. They're just thoughts. They don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts because there's no other kind of thoughts. You might say, what about future thoughts? Future thoughts is the past projected into an imaginary future by thoughts. The mind is only the past. All thoughts are the past. So even the future thoughts are just past thoughts projected into an imaginary future by thoughts. All thoughts are the past, and the past is just thoughts. It's the same thing. Thoughts, past. So, A Course in Miracles tells us atonement, very simple, can be equated with a total escape from the past. What's the past? Thoughts. Total escape from the past. And a total lack of interest in the future. Heaven is here. There's nowhere else. Heaven is now. There's no other time. It's all just thoughts. It's all just a tiny mad idea that spawned the tiny mad ideas of sin, guilt, and fear, past, present, and future, that spawned all the thoughts that the mind you think is you spawns all day long. And they're all harmless because they're nothing. They're not true. You're not thinking them. They don't belong to anyone. They don't describe anyone. They mean nothing. The self you thought you were, made of thoughts, doesn't exist. And the self you think everyone else is, that's made out of thoughts, that doesn't exist either. Who are you now? Here I am, and nothing else. It's the atonement. It's already here. It's already here. It's what you are. You're just identifying with thoughts. You need to disidentify from thoughts. That's what the workbook's for. All the lessons we read there now. Starts as early as lesson 4. These thoughts don't mean anything. I think lesson 10, the good ones, thoughts, are but shadows of what lies beyond. Outside of thoughts, in the holy place where thoughts can enter not. The bad ones are blocked to vision and make seeing impossible. You do not want either. So let us return. Review the thoughts as well, which are compatible with such a world and which you think are true, and then let them go and sink below them to the holy place where they can enter not. There is a door beneath them in your mind, which you could not completely lock to hide what lies beyond thoughts. Seek for that door and find it. Before you try to open it, remind yourself no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. And it is this request you make today. Nothing but this has any meaning now. No other goal is valued now nor sought. Nothing before this door you really want, and only what lies past it do you seek. I want you to contemplate those words. This is the most important thing for you in your life, is to discover what's on the other side of thoughts. Because on the other side of thoughts, you'll discover what everyone is, including you. And it's one, it's not two. And on the other side of thoughts is the end of the tiny mad idea and salvation. Put out your hand and see how easily this door swings open with your one intent to go beyond it. Thoughts. Angels light the way, metaphor. So that all darkness vanishes. Why? It was all made of thoughts. And you are standing in a light so bright and clear that you can understand all things you see. It's all one. It's all love. There's no self and other. It's Christ as everything and everything as Christ. Already. Only thoughts were veiling it. Only thoughts were trying to hide that the atonement is done. That salvation's already here. A tiny moment of surprise, perhaps, will make you pause before you realize the world you see before you in the light reflects the truth you knew and did not quite forget in wandering away in dreams. Thoughts. All dreams are made of thoughts. Thoughts is how I am seems to dream itself to be an I am this. A concept. A self made of thoughts. It's not true. No dreams are true. Okay, so I said this is the most important thing. Are you serious about your course studies? Are you serious about awakening? Are you serious about your goal being God? Are you serious about the end of suffering in this lifetime? There's nothing more important than this. Nothing. Course in Miracles says miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. This is the purification. Sorting the wheat from the chaff. Sorting the valuable from the not valuable. What's not valuable is concept, thought. What is valuable is what's beyond them. Because it's what you are. But it's not just what you are, it's what I am. It's what everyone is. It's what everything is. And it's the reflection of what God is. Nothing is more important than this. Nothing. So you have to begin separating the truth of what you are from thoughts. You don't have to get rid of thoughts. You have to stop identifying with them. You have to stop thinking they can tell you anything about what you are or what anyone else is. They can't. You have to stop thinking you're thinking them. You're not. The mind is thinking them. That mind's not you. That's the ego mind. It doesn't belong to anyone because there's no ego. There's just thoughts, and they're harmless unless you identify with them, unless you think you're the one thinking them. Because now you believe in the me that doesn't exist because no one's thinking them. They're just thoughts. And they're there to prevent you from realizing you are the holy place where thoughts can enter not. That is everywhere and everything and everyone. That's why they're there. Now, doesn't mean you're going to find the holy place where thoughts can enter not tomorrow, because as lesson 70 says, you're going to have to go through the thoughts to get to the light. So, one way you can do that is going through the workbook lesson and practicing this. So, lesson 70 says you have to go through the clouds to get to the light. That means you go, what am I? That a thought can't say. And a thought will say, you're a charlatan, you're a fraud. And you have to go, that's a thought. That's got nothing to do with what I am. It's got nothing to do with the light. It's just a thought. I don't have to go to war with it. I don't have to annihilate it. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to change it. I have to go, that's a thought. That's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It's got nothing to do with me because a thought can't tell me what I am. So you go, what am I? And a thought will say, you're never going to get this. Right. You're never going to stop thinking. And you have to go through the thought. You have to go, that's a thought. I'm not thinking that. That happened all by itself. It doesn't mean anything. It's got nothing to do with reality. It's a thought. So what? And then after a while, thoughts will get very sneaky because a thought will say to you, you're the holy place, whether it's connect or not. And you have to recognize, you have to go, that's a thought. The thought, the holy place where thoughts can enter not, is not the holy place where thoughts can enter not. You have to go, that's a thought. So that's not reality. Let's go, what am I? What's the light? And a thought will go, oh, you're the Holy Son of God. That's a thought. The Holy Son of God thought isn't the Holy Son of God. It's a thought. It's a concept. It's not reality. It's thought. So you have to go, well, that's not the light. It's not what I am. And a thought will go, this is too hard. You should go and check what's on television. And you have to recognize, you have to keep going through the clouds. It's God's a thought. I'm not thinking that. That came in out of nowhere, all by itself. That's the mind. But is that me, or am I the one that's witness to it arising and falling? It's not you. And a thought will go, oh, you are what everyone is. It's God's a thought. That's a thought. That's not it. It's not the light. So what's the light? What's the holy place? The thoughts can enter not. Um, That's what lesson 70 is talking about. I want to say, I guess the meeting is getting on. So let me bring this to some kind of closure and try and bring things together. As many of you know, I had a chronic anxiety disorder, which was there from the minute I got up in the morning until I went to bed at night, and it was awful. I eventually reached a low point in my life where I went, I'm doing this course if it kills me. Okay, that's it. This is too painful. There must be another way. Um, and I learned from Kenneth Wapnick, and I did what I was told. And he said, the body and the thoughts in the body is a movie. Okay, it's a movie. That's the movie character. A body and a mind talking to itself, commenting on everything and hating itself and hating everyone else. That's the movie. And you're what's in the cinema with Jesus. Okay, so this was a very nice metaphor. It worked really well for me because I intuitively knew that there's no thinker in the cinema. I intuitively knew that the cinema was the holy place where thoughts could enter not, that the cinema was the right mind, not the insane one. So all day long, there was anxiety and there was fear and compulsive thoughts and repetitive thoughts going on all day. And I just did what Ken said to do. The whole day I would go, well, that's what's happening in the wrong mind. But what does that have to do with the mind in the cinema that's not thinking? What does it have to do with the holy place where there's no thoughts, which is what Jesus is? So I just spent the whole day doing that. I didn't try to get rid of anxiety. I didn't try to stop thoughts. I didn't try and make the anxiety better. I wasn't going, oh, what's my forgiveness formula? How do I fix it? Jesus, take it off me, take it off me, take it off me. No. I looked at what the mind that was doing, which I had thought all my life was me, but now I was the witness to that mind and going, okay, that's the wrong mind. What does it have to do with the right mind? What does it have to do with the peace in the cinema? What does it have to do with the holy place where thoughts can enter not? That's the insane mind. So what? And after 2 months, there was a stillness in the back of my mind. So I remember saying to my husband, I think my anxiety is getting better. After 8 years of hell, when there was no better, I went, I think it's getting better. But there was still anxiety. It was just that there was this peace in the back of my mind, which was indestructible. It was there in the middle of the anxiety. It was there in the middle of moments where I wasn't so stressed. It was there in the middle of panic. I just did what I was told. I was in the cinema with Jesus. There was no thinker. There was no Keith in the cinema with Jesus. Keith was the movie. Keith was a body and thoughts talking to themselves insanely. That was the movie. I did that. I did that. I threw myself into that practice. That was it. Somebody said something and there was a reaction and thoughts were hatred and murderousness. And I was going, okay, that's what's going on there in the insane mind. What does that have to do with the holy place that thoughts can enter not? What does it have to do with the right mind? What does it have to do with the love and peace in the cinema? That's the wrong mind. So what? Didn't fight anything, didn't try and fix anything, didn't try and change anything, Didn't try and choose against anything. Look what the wrong mind's doing. What does that have to do with the mind that looks, with no judgment, with no thoughts about what it's looking at? What does it have to do with that mind? Below wind, below storm. What does it have to do with the one that sees it without thoughts about it? And 2 months later, the anxiety was gone. That was that was the least weird thing that happened. Because the far weirder thing that started happening was that I was opening a butter wrapper at a restaurant and self and other was gone. I was looking at the butter and it was love and it was me. It's like I was the butter and me at the same time. And it was love. It was like all of heaven shone out of it. It was like the butter was formless. It was like formlessness was just appearing as the butter and it was love and I was the butter. And that was love and that was heaven and that was truth. And then that started happening randomly with individual things because part of my mind had unbound itself from thoughts and was recognizing its stillness everywhere in everyone. From its fingertips, the quiet was going out around the world to cover all living things in holiness and recognize it as itself. Even though another part of my mind was going, WTF? I don't understand what this can mean. What the hell? But the right mind was unbinding itself from thought. I didn't understand that at the time. I do now. They were little glimpses of the holy instant. But I want to tell you about the first time I experienced the holy instant, just exactly like it was described today in the passages. So I think I'd spent 2 days, and this was the third day, going through the clouds. So every time I had a moment, I would be going, so what's the light? What am I? And listening to what the mind was saying. And when you try this, the mind will be vicious in the beginning. It's going to feed all your worst insecurities and fears to you. It's going to go, you're a fraud. This is ridiculous. Who do you think you are? You don't deserve any of this. Other people do, you don't. Other people are going to get this. You're never going to get this. And you just have to go, it's just a thought. You can't judge it. Can't fight it. Can't say it's bad. You got to go. You just got to recognize a thought as a thought. That's a thought. So what am I that a thought can't say? But anyway, I was on the third day and the mind was doing its holy thing. It's like, oh, you're the light. You're the Son of God. You are the oneness in everything. You're the light of God. Thoughts, concepts. They're concepts. The concept is never reality. The thought is never reality. The word is not reality. The map is not the territory. Concept is veiling reality. When you look at the concept and go, oh, that's reality. No, it's not. It's a thought. The thought isn't reality. See? So the mind was going through its holy phase. But I remember I was washing dishes at the time. And when the mind finally stopped, it threw everything, including the kitchen sink. And it eventually just threw up its arms and went, well, I've got nothing. Um, in that moment, I realized identity is a total scam. When thoughts stopped, there was no me made of thoughts. There was no past or future. I didn't have a past or future. When everything, and as I looked inside and realized there was nothing, emptiness, the holy place where thoughts could enter not, the unknowable, and there was no thoughts. As I looked out on the world, that's what everything was. And everything was the holy place where thoughts could enter not. And it was the experience of being everywhere at once. But it's not the experience of a separate self being everywhere at once. It's not that. There's no separate self. There's just what's everything. The self and other lie collapsed. And so there was no self here. There was only the self that was everything and everyone. It was totally non duality. There was no self and other. There was no subject and object. There was one seamless everything, one seamless experience, one light as everything, one light putting on a light show. So that one holy place was appearing as the washer, the dish is getting washed, the washing was appearing as the sink and the draining board and the windowsill, and it was appearing as the glass and the garden outside and the flowers, and oneself was everything, and everything was oneself. And there was no here and there, and there was no me and you, and there was no subject or object. It was flawlessly non-dual. Now, as I tell you that story, it's very tempting to hear this that, well, there was this person called Keith, and he had an experience of non-duality and reality. And he's here today and he's telling you that story about the experience that he had. That's not true. That's thoughts. Um, that's the weird thing. In that moment, you have an experience that there's no self apart from anything or anyone. There is no Keith. It was just a bunch of thoughts with a ring around it going, Keith. There is no Keith. That's the experience. There's no Keith. There's only what is everything, and everything is what is here. It's the holy instant, the real world. And everything was, this gets hard to talk about. I want to call it formless because nothing was solid. But it's not like it was see through, but it was not solid. It was like everything was made out of light and it was just appearing as what it was appearing at, but it wasn't solid. It had no solidity to it. So I'm going to say it felt, it's not right either. It's just like it was formlessness appearing as a certain form, but it didn't have to be that and it could be anything. Anyway, that okay, see, I want to say I think that only lasted about 5 or 6 seconds the first time, but I don't know how long it lasted because there was no time, because time is made of thoughts. So I don't know how long that lasted. But when I went back into thoughts and made a self for myself out of thoughts, it's really weird because now there's a story about the I that had a spiritual experience. But actually, the reality that bled through is that there's no one having experiences. It's just reality. So now, so now for me during my day, I notice that I'm selfing. I notice that there's thoughts going on and I'm not going their thoughts. So they're nothing. Instead, there's thoughts going on and I'm lost and unconscious in them, thinking I'm a thinker of thoughts and that I'm a me and I'm a self. And then I go, oh, and I do nothing about it and come home to the holy place where there's no thought and where there's no one. And this is all that's ever true. The selfing is an illusion. It's just thoughts. You are the holy place where thoughts can enter not. Thoughts. Imagine that there's a coming and going. Thoughts manufacture the illusion there's a self that's having mystical experiences, that there's a self that comes into the holy place and leaves the holy place. They're thoughts. There's no one. There's only the holy place. And so for me, at this point in my spiritual practice, it feels like spending the day stepping into the illusion of being a separate self where there's others and leaving the delusion where there's only one self is everything and where it's all non-duality. And formlessness just appearing as the form it's appearing as for no reason. I'm not saying that so you chase that as an experience, because if you chase it, you won't get it. The only thing you can do is begin to separate the truth of what you are as the holy place out from thoughts. You have to begin. The course says you are much too tolerant of mind wandering. You're much too tolerant of mind wandering. What does that mean? Believing your thoughts, going unconscious in them, thinking you're the thinker of them, not being in the holy place. Now, for a lot of you, you've never known anything other than I am the insane voice talking to itself. There's not going to have been that taste yet of the holy place. So you want to get on with it. You want to get on with the unbinding of what you are from thoughts. You can only do that with forgiveness. Hear me well. That body has nothing to do with your identity. And that mind talking to itself, asking itself questions, having chats with itself, hating itself and hating everyone else, saying what's true and not true, and good and bad and right and wrong, that's not you. It's just thoughts. It's got nothing to do with what you are. It is a lie about what the Holy Son of God is. It is the thoughts that are veiling the door to what everything and everyone is already. So as you're working through the workbook lessons this year, notice how often this theme comes up. Thoughts aren't you. You're the light. They're thoughts. They're nothing. They're not evil. They're not bad. They're not a problem. They're nothing. But you've been thinking you're a self made out of them. And that self made out of thoughts, you think it's thinking thoughts. There's no one thinking thoughts. They're just thoughts. Okay? You have to use forgiveness, looking at the activity of the ego with no thoughts about it. You got to spend your day going through the clouds. Nothing is more important than this. Nothing is more important than this. Nothing. Why? What's the light outside the clouds? And listen to the nonsense that the mind wants to tell you. And go, that's a thought. I didn't think that. It arrived all by itself, and it means nothing. It's a ghost. It's the past. All thoughts are ghosts. Remember, The past and thought are two words for the same thing. Every thought is a ghost. It's got nothing to do with the now. Got nothing to do with what you are and nothing to do with what your brother is. They're just ghosts, phantoms, and they mean nothing. You are that which witnesses the ghosts coming and going, shifting and changing, moving and popping. You're already that. You're already that. You just got to break this binding to what thoughts say you are. You got to notice when you're selfing that you've made a self for yourself. And now you're looking at the holiness everywhere in the world. That is all your brothers. That's you. But you're not seeing that. The light is kept from everything you see. You're seeing a projection of thoughts about what someone is because you think thoughts are real and you can trust them and that they're true. And they're not. They're not. But the minute they either stop or you just really understand that the course is not messing around. Lesson number 4. These thoughts don't mean anything. Lesson 52. I have no private thoughts. That's only private thoughts of which I am aware. What can they mean? They don't exist and they mean nothing. They're ghosts. They're ghosts. They're just ghosts. They don't mean anything. It's got nothing to do with the now. It's got nothing to do with the real world, and you are the real world. What you're not is a separate self made of thoughts, surrounded by other separate selves you've made out of thoughts, which is your private world, populated by shadow figures. The first shadow figure being the one you made for yourself, and then 8 billion shadow figures for all the others. It's all a dream made of thoughts. And thoughts don't have to stop. But you got to realize a thought is only a thought. It's nothing. There's no identity in it. It doesn't say anything about reality. Course in Miracles, it says, in the holy instant, no one is special. No one's different. No one's unique. They're thoughts. They're shadow figures. In the holy instant, no one is special. Because your personal needs, the shadow self, the self I've made out of thoughts, the personal needs, because you're not a person, personal needs intrude on no one to make your brothers seem different. You're not dividing the world into the good ones and the bad ones and the right ones and the wrong ones and the ones I can cannibalize and the ones I can hate. So I can feel better about the pain of the me. In the holy instant, no one's special. Because your personal needs intrude on no one to make your brother seem different. Without the values from the past. What are the values from the past? Thoughts. Ghosts. Past is thoughts, and thoughts always are past. They're the same thing. Without the values from the past, thoughts, you would see them all the same and like yourself, and you would see no separation between them. Oneself as everything and everyone already. So as we move forwards with this podcast, as you move forwards, maybe with doing the workbook lessons this year, as you focus on your forgiveness lessons, nothing is more important than you learning that the mind isn't you. Body isn't you. The mind isn't you. It's not you. You are the real world, but you're going to have to unbind yourself from thoughts. You got to go through the clouds every moment of every day. If you're upset, it's because you're in the clouds, using clouds to make a self up for yourself and to make up others, guilty ones, or else ones you can cannibalize. You're in the world of thoughts, which is illusion. It's a private world. The world of thoughts is the world of illusion. But it's your it's your unique illusion. It's your unique world. There's no other world like it because it's all made up. It's just a world made of thoughts. But it's not here. It's not what you are. You are the real world. There's nothing else to be. You are the holy place everywhere, as everyone and everything and everyone everywhere as the holy place that's you. It is here everywhere and everywhere here. That's what's here. That's actually what's here. Everything else is just thoughts. And this whole path is just about unbinding yourself from thoughts and concepts. Salvation is nothing more than the escape from concepts. And again, not even the escape from concepts, the escape from identification with concepts. So, I'm not sure if it's Lore or Laurie. You can let me know in a moment, Laurie. Linda, if you would send Laurie an invite to take herself off mute.
There you go.
Hi,
Thanks,
Keith.
Linda. Hi, Is it Laurie or Lore?
Lore. Lore's fine.
Lore. Oh, okay, very cool. Go ahead.
Keith, I think the main thing I'm struggling with at the moment is the identification with the body seems so much stronger than the thoughts. Like like the thoughts are already seem to be losing their grip. But then when it's quiet even, there's still the body. And it's true that when I inquire into the body, I can also feel that's not me either. But I have to inquire each time, overall, there's still really this sense of this body is me, just a peaceful body.
Yeah, but Laura, what you have to understand is that all you're saying to me is when I jump into the clouds and make up a self for myself that's in a body, I feel like the body is me. But when I go through the clouds and go, that's a thought, that's a thought, that's a thought, and I investigate and I come out and I realize actually it's not me. And then all you're saying to me is, yeah, but when I go back into the clouds, when I go back into the thoughts, I'm suffering again. And I'm going, yes, yes, that's exactly true. If you get involved in thoughts, there will be suffering. And the only thing you can do is exit identification with the mind.
And what about the body?
Yes, the body belongs to the thinker of thoughts, but there's no thinker of thoughts. Okay? There's no thinker of thoughts. So close your eyes for me, Laura. In this moment, is there anything to what's called the body other than a collection of sensations? Okay, it's just a collection of sensations. And as the sensations are changing and shifting around, because that's all there is to the body is a collection of sensations, does the body, does it make a regular shape or is it an irregular shape that's shifting and changing?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that question.
So just become aware of all there is to the body, which is a collection of sensations.
Yeah.
Do they make any kind of a regular shape, those sensations, or are they kind of like all over the place and shifting and changing the sensations?
Yeah, my attention gets drawn to several places.
Yeah. So would you say it makes a regular outline or an irregular that's shifting and changing? Is the body constant or is it constantly changing?
Yeah, if I pay attention to it, it seems to be changing.
Yeah. So the body is constantly changing because there's nothing to it other than a collection of sensations that's constantly changing. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And are those sensations you, or are you the one that's aware of the sensations?
I'm aware of them.
Yeah. And is there any proof or evidence that the sensations are you or yours apart from a thought that says they are?
No,
Okay, so there is absolutely zero evidence that the body is you or yours apart from thoughts saying it is. Isn't that so? Okay, so the most used expression in the whole of A Course in Miracles is, I'm not a body. I'm free and still as God created me. Now, it's not messing around.
mm,
It's not a joke, okay? The body has nothing to do with what you are. There's no
oh,
identity in it.
if I do what you just did, Keith, which I do sometimes, it's true. I cannot find it. I cannot find that it's me.
Yeah, but that's
But
because it's not. But
no,
but a thought will try to convince you that it is, and you have to start going through the clouds when you're deluded by them.
yeah. So is there like what am I? I do use that, but mainly with thoughts. Would you just suggest to do that with the same with the body as well?
As long as you get an answer to what am I, that's not it.
No,
Because
I don't get an answer.
thoughts can't tell you what you are. So the only answer to what am I is the holy place where there's no thoughts. Doesn't mean there might not be mad thoughts going on in the other mind. There might be, there might not be. There could be total silence, or there could be just random noise going on that means nothing. But the only answer to what you are that's true is nothing.
Yeah,
You are nothing the mind can say. You are the unspeakable. You are the unthinkable. The holy place where there can be no thoughts to soil the truth of what you are. That's what you are. But it's not just what you are. That's what everything is and everyone is already. And everything and everyone is the holy place that's you. Only thoughts are saying different, but they're just thoughts.
yeah,
So, so again, the course is saying, listen, if you stay in the clouds, you're going to suffer. You're not going to find salvation. You're not going to find happiness. You'll only find bitterness, trying to make idols out of yourself and idols of the other selves that you're making up. The world of shadow figures, the world of thoughts, it's all made up. It's a private world. It's nonsense. There's only pain there. There's only suffering there. So, so if you're identifying with thoughts instead of being awake in your mind, forgiving them and going through them, then you'll suffer. But if you use this method of going, but they're thoughts, what does that have to do with what I am, which isn't thinking and where there's no thought?
yeah. That part seems to become more effortless.
It
Just
is effortless, yeah. There's
yeah,
no effort required to be what you already are.
no, yeah. I can really sense that.
Good.
What seems to be it's just but there's still this body I'm following around the whole time.
No, but so what?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
No,
maybe.
no, no, but listen, when When Christ awoke to itself from the dream it was Jesus, the body didn't disappear. So why do you think it should disappear for you?
Very good question.
So you're not trying to vanish the world. You're not trying to vanish the body. That doesn't happen until the very end. No, no, that's why the Course says, that's an unworthy form of denial to try and deny that there's an experience of a body here. That's an unworthy form of denial. No, you know so that's where you're going wrong. Your
Yes,
job is not to make the body go anywhere. Your job is to realize there's no identity in it. Your job is not making thoughts stop or go away. You can't know what you are in opposition to anything. You can only know what you are in total non-opposition to everything, which is called forgiveness. So, no, no, no. In terms of the body, you cannot know that you're not the body by opposing the body,
mm,
only by forgiving it.
yeah, I see that now.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
so don't try and vanish the dream. That's not your job. That'll take care of itself at the very end when consciousness collapses on itself. Your only job is forgiving the dream.
oh, that's
Total
a relief.
non-opposition. Yeah, total non-opposition to the dream. That's all that's
Yeah,
asked. Because total non-opposition to the dream means you know the holy place as what you are, and that it's what everyone is. No matter what it's appearing as, it's still the holy place.
yeah,
One self everywhere as everything and everyone. That's the holy instant. But but again, that requires the collapse of identification with any thought, even a holy one. So that's why it's very important that the Course in Miracles says, forget every thought you've ever had before about anything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with holy empty hands onto your God. All the Course can give us is concepts, but concepts isn't reality. Reality is the absence of all concepts. So A Course in Miracles gives us concepts that are helpful to disentangle ourselves from concepts, but then we have to let all concepts go. So the Course is a big book of concepts on how to let all concepts go, including the Course. And there's just the holy place as everything and everyone, and everything and everyone as the holy place already. Um, so yeah, don't be fighting with the body. Don't be trying to get rid of the body. Your job is forgiving it.
yes, yeah,
So what happens is when you come home to the holy place where thoughts can enter not, now everything you look upon is the holy place. It would require thoughts to say otherwise. So, so there's this artificial separation. Um, I like to use this analogy. I've used this before, but let's just say it again. You take a bar of gold, you split it in two, you melt it down, and you make a war battleground and soldiers and cannons and cannonballs and rifles out of gold. And you take the other half and you melt it down into a football field and a goal ball and goal grass and goal players. See? And now gold is veiled from itself by thinking it's a soldier surrounded by other soldiers. But then gold awakens to itself and it realizes, hang on a minute, I'm not a soldier. That's not what I am. It's an object. What am I? I'm gold. Soldier has nothing to do with gold. But once I realize gold is what I am, now I look back at the soldier and go, but there was nothing ever to the soldier other than an appearance of the gold that's me. And there's nothing to the battleground other than an appearance of the goal that's me. And there's nothing to all the other soldiers other than an appearance of the goal that's me. So a soldier has nothing to do with gold. But gold is what's appearing as everything. So the first thing we got to do is we got to claim back our essence. We got to claim it back from objects. We got to go, but hang on, is the body me or am I the one that's aware of it? That's an artificial separation because there's no such thing as separation because one light is appearing as everything. So this is where we're creating an artificial separation, but it's only to claim back our essence, to cleanse it of identification with objects. We go, is the body me or am I the one that's aware of it? I'm the one that's aware of it. We go, thoughts. Am I thoughts or am I the one that's hearing them?
Mm.
I'm the one that's hearing them. And emotions. Are emotions me or am I the awareness of emotions? This is an artificial separation so we can claim back our essence. And once we claim back our essence as the holy place where thoughts can enter not, pure awareness, now the artificial distinction collapses. Now we go, but there's nothing to the body other than the holy place where thoughts can enter not. There's nothing to thoughts other than the holy place where thoughts can enter not. There's nothing to emotions other than the holy place where thoughts can enter not. There's just one ocean appearing as all the waves. There's no such thing as waves. They're just an appearance of the ocean. So that's the collapse of the distinction. Because again, in the beginning, we are conceptualizing the world. We're conceptualizing the body. We're conceptualizing thoughts. We're conceptualizing emotions. But when there is no more conceptualizing, so there's no more projection, I look at a thought and it can't be anything other than the holy place where thoughts can enter not, because there's no thoughts about it. I look at the body, it can't be anything other than the holy place where thoughts can enter not, because I'm not projecting thoughts onto what it is. I look at an emotion, it can't be anything other than the holy place where thoughts can enter not, because I'm not projecting thoughts onto it. Because projection is of thoughts. Once they stop, there's no projection. There's just the extension of the emptiness within to everything, including thought. So we've got down to essence. So when you discover your essence, you realize it's the essence of everything and everyone, including bodies, including thoughts, including emotions, including feelings, including stories. Everything's made out of gold. You are that gold. Does that make sense as an analogy, Laura?
Yeah,
Cool.
it does.
Good. Glad that was
Yeah, it
helpful.
does. Yeah, thank you, Keith.
So we have iPhone with their hand up. We don't have a name to tell me who. So whoever is the second person that has their hand up, Linda will send you an invite to take yourself off mute.
Hola, hola.
Hola!
How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent. You know that you basically have responded my question, but
Good.
the ego, is the one who always asks the questions. So I'm gonna ask it again, just to go back to the same principle that it's. I love
Knock yourself out. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, let me put the video. Okay, I'm here in Mexico City.
What's your name?
Alfonso.
Alfonso. Alfonso. I may have some plans to visit Mexico City at the end of the year, so there you go.
Oh,
I
excellent.
will advise.
It'll be
So
it'll be a treat. It'll be a treat to show you around.
Well, I don't know. The plan will be to do maybe a workshop or a retreat close to Mexico City. So we might get a chance to do that this year. So yes, we'll announce
Excellent.
it. We'll announce of it if it comes off. Alfonso,
Excellent.
you go ahead with your question.
I'll be a participant, a very
Very
happy
good.
participant.
The first sign up.
The first lineup. Well, you know that especially with the lessons of the course of these days, you know that I'm not the only one who experiences the effects of my thoughts. And then, of course, you said thoughts mean nothing, you know. So I get confused because I say, okay, if thoughts means nothing, how come everybody is going to experience the effects of my thoughts?
That's a really good question, Alfonso.
Voila, voila la question.
Voila. Um, Let me dig out a quick quote here. All right, Alfonso. Thoughts have no effect whatsoever on the holy place where thoughts can enter not, what you are. Okay. However, you can believe that you are a limited, lacking, needy, wanting self with a victimized past and a frightening future made out of thoughts. And you can believe that you're that instead of the holy place where thoughts can enter not. Now, if if you are so wrong-minded like that, you are now open to either the miscreations or the blessings of others. Now, what I want you to know is that if you know yourself, if you have exited the thought world, which is all made up, it's just thoughts, if you've exited the thought world and you know that what you are is what everyone is, then nothing touches you. You can only bless. But if you don't know the truth, which is outside of thoughts, and if you think thoughts are true, and you think you're a self that's on a journey trying to become what you already are, and you think you're a bad self, an unworthy self, and you're trying to make yourself better by attacking others to feel better about yourself, because that's what imaginary egos do. Um, if somebody else comes along and they know the holy place where thoughts can enter not, and they can't know you as anything other than that, that weakens your dream.
Mhm,
That weakens the power of the thought world over you. It
mhm,
weakens the power of concepts over you, and it begins to invite the light into your mind. So if someone refuses to share the dream that you're a self made out of thoughts with a past and a future that's lacking and needing and wanting and not already the real world, if someone comes in and refuses to share that as what you are, it weakens all your delusions. And you're blessed by that interaction. A lovely description of that is lesson 109, I rest in God. You call others to their rest by being at yours. Okay. So now, because you had attacked yourself, because you were identifying with thoughts and thinking you were thinking and believing in yourself as a made up self and selfing and making up selves for everyone else that you could hate or cannibalize, you were doing that. But someone came along and they went, I don't accept that's what you are. You are what I am. We can't be different. And they see you as the rest they are, the holy place where thoughts can enter not. Your dream starts to crumble around that.
mm.
All of its footings get lost. But here's the thing.
Please, please
If
tell me the thing. Tell me the thing.
if someone comes along who also thinks they are a self made out of thoughts with a past and a future, and they're also selfing, and they make up a self for you, which isn't the same as you think you are, because none of these are real, they're all made up. But they make up a self for you as a guilty self. You already think you are a guilty, suffering, lacking, needing, wanting self. Someone else comes along and they go, you're a guilty self, you're a bad self. Okay. that confirms your dream. It confirms your delusion. So because you're not firmly entrenched in the truth, you are vulnerable to the miscreations of others. It confirms the lie that you're not the Son of God. That is everyone. It confirms the lie that you are a damned, lacking, needing, wanting self. And you are vulnerable to that because you first of all attacked yourself. So let me just read a quick paragraph from the Course in connection with that. Whenever you experience God's reassurances as threat, because God's reassurances says you're not a separate self. You are one self, united with God and with all of creation. That's God's reassurance. But when you see that as a threat and go, hang on, that's death. I want to be a separate self with a
Mm,
past and a future.
mm.
I want a self. I want to go selfing. I want to go making up selves for everyone else. Okay. So when you experience God's reassurances as threat, it is always because you are defending misplaced or misdirected loyalty. Loyalty to the me, to the tiny mad idea of two, of self and other, of sin, guilt, and fear. You're going, no, 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 no. There is bad selves out there. They're worse than I am. God will kill them instead of me. Okay. So whenever you experience God's reassurances as threat, it's always because you are defending misplaced or misdirected loyalty. When you project this to others, you imprison them, but only to the extent to which you reinforce errors they have already made. This makes them vulnerable to the distortions of others, since their own perception of themselves is distorted. The miracle worker, who knows he rests in God, and that rest is the truth of everything and everyone that's here,
Mm-hmm.
the miracle worker can only bless them, and this undoes their distortions and frees them from prison.
Wow. What page is that? Because I have to read it again.
That's from chapter 2 somewhere. Let me just dig that out. Um, yeah, that is from, actually, it's chapter 1. So it's chapter 1, section 3, paragraph 5.
Okay. Section 3, paragraph 5. Okay.
That's it. Excellent
You know,
question there.
well, it's so beautiful,
Yes,
and it's so um peaceful.
yes.
And then I leave and I totally forget, and I get involved in the dreams of the world, and then
Well,
you
you don't.
know
You're not
I
even. You're getting involved in the dreams of thoughts and the me that's in the
thoughts
world. That's what hurts you. See,
exactly,
because
and now I am beginning to notice,
good.
every
That's the first. That's the first essential step. It's what all the workbook lessons we covered today are talking about. They're going. You have to notice. The key thing about A Course in Miracles, the first step, what you must do is you must look on the error with no thoughts or judgments or opposition to
and then immediately give it to the Holy Spirit.
it. Now, okay, so when you have jumped into thoughts, made a self for yourself out of thoughts, and you think you're a me and you're suffering with your past and your future and the selves that you've made up for everyone else, that self can't give anything to the Holy Spirit
Okay,
because it doesn't exist. Okay?
okay,
So giving it to the Holy Spirit means you look at the imaginary self, which is just a bunch of thought patterns that are pretending to be you. You look on them with no judgment. That is how you join your perception to the Holy Spirit.
okay, okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense, and
Yes.
it's more feasible.
Yes.
feasible and
Experiential.
experiential. That's the word. That's the word.
Yes.
I wanted to use reasonable, but it's not. It
Yeah.
is experiential.
That's what matters.
Mm, 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 mm.
And the reason it's experiential, because when you look on the error, which is just the insane mind that's chatting to itself and talking to itself and spinning stories about what it is and what everyone else is and the past and the future. And all you have to do is look at everything the mind is doing and oppose nothing.
Mm, mm.
The minute.
And Keith,
But what I want you to understand is that mind can't
mhm,
forgive anything. That
okay.
mind cannot not fixate. That mind can only fixate. That mind can only judge. It can only split the world into self and other, good and bad, right and wrong, holy and unholy, real and unreal. That's all that mind can do.
Hmm.
There's one thing that mind pretending to be you can't do. It can't not fixate. It can't not judge. It cannot witness anything without a story, without an
Hmm.
opinion, without a projection of thoughts onto it. So, what happens when you witness the unforgiving thing, big bunch of thoughts, with no judgment? What
Dissolves.
witnesses, yes, you literally change your mind. You change what your identity is. Because what witnesses the unforgiving thing with total forgiveness cannot be the unforgiving thing. It is pure awareness. It is the holy place where thoughts can enter not, and it's the truth of everyone.
And
So, yeah,
is it possible to live like that all the time?
yes, that's called the
Okay.
real world. But
Okay.
until then, whilst there is the illusion of coming and going, because you're not coming and going, they're all just thoughts. The one who's coming
Hmm.
and going is
Hmm.
the thought.
Hmm.
You already are what everything and everyone is an appearance of oneself everywhere, as everything and everyone. That's all that's here. The holy place everywhere. That's what's here. But as long as there is the delusion of coming and going, which just means you believe in a person that's coming and going, but it's just thoughts. There's no one there.
Hmm.
But as
Hmm.
long as that is, then what you need is a miracle that takes you back to the holy instant. And you might need 100, 200 miracles a day to get the hell out of thought
Hmm. Hmm.
through total non-opposition to them, through total surrender to them, through total witnessing of them without thoughts about them. And what's witnessing? You're home, you see? Um, so, so as long as you get involved in thoughts, the Course says I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. Salvation is nothing more than the escape from thoughts. So when there is selfing, making a me and making others that I can cannibalize or hate, all made up thoughts, um, I need to go, oh, look what the mind is doing. Let me witness that without labeling it, without opposing it, without pushing or pulling on it, with doing nothing on it. The minute you do that, the holy place is here.
Hmm.
So the thing that hurts you is when you get involved with thoughts and start selfing here and start selfing out there. And then start hating your creations out there or what you've made out there rather than hating the self you made for yourself. So that's where all the suffering is. And the way out is simple. You look on the error thinking that what the mind is doing is you. You look on the error without judgment. You witness the activity of the mind, the thought patterns that you thought were you, and you go, they're just thoughts.
Hmm. Hmm.
What does that have to do with what I am? What does it have to do with the holy place where thoughts can enter not?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because this is what
It is.
everyone is.
It is exactly. I can't remember exactly the words, but a miracle sees and does nothing, and
Yes,
judges not. And
that's right.
then, of course, it has everything to do with identification.
It has
It's
everything to do with identification and switching identification, which is what the Course means by changing your mind. I am not a
I
self made of thoughts with a past and a future. I am the holy place where thoughts can enter not. And I can know myself as that by witnessing the mind that pretends to be me and going, but that what does that have to do with what witnesses that mind with no judgment? Place that thoughts can tell me nothing about. The peace that passes all understanding that's everywhere.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kip.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for your question. They were good questions.
Hope to see you soon in person.
Yes, I'll keep you updated. I'll keep you updated. All right,
Excellent.
guys. Thanks a million for Oh wow. How did that happen?
Sorry, Keith. I
Oh,
really
you
did not mean to mute you.
Not to worry. Let me backtrack. We will. It seems like we've reached a natural end for the meeting, so we will draw close there. We will do it all again next week, and in the meantime, we'll all catch up in the Facebook group and enjoy your Sunday. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.